All right, guys, back here on Southeastern 14 with Max Barr, and we are previewing the weekend action in SEC basketball. Yes, we know it's a big football weekend in terms of a lot of interesting games on tap and, bowl games, right? There's some fun bowl matchups that you guys are going to enjoy. But if you're watching this, you also enjoy SEC basketball, and there are some interesting games on the slate there. And Max, we are a week away from the start of conference play in SEC basketball. So, the final chance for some of these SEC teams to grab another win and hopefully not add a loss to their resume. But before we talk about the action for the weekend, let's tell you about our friends at Bet Online, the only people that don't get time off this year, again, aside from Max and myself, are pro athletes and our friends at Bet Online, because they are working for you every day to give you all the best odds that you can find. NFL, bowl season, NBA in full swing over the holidays. Bet Online not taking a second off to make sure that you have all the up-to-the-second odds, news, and info that you need. So head over to our friends, betonline.ag. All the sports wagering info available, both desktop, mobile access. Again, they've got everything you need. And so head there today to get in on the action. Remember, use that promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts. All right, Max, we're going to, again, go across the board here in terms of looking at there's a lot of games, right? And so we're not going to really spend a lot of time on most of these games because most of them are probably going to be high double-digit spreads. And so we're just like, what's the point to do that? So if we don't mention your team, again, it's probably because you're playing someone you're going to likely beat by 25 or more. But there are a couple games that have piqued our interest. And let's start with Alabama and Liberty. They're going to play on Saturday. That's a 1 p.m. Central tip. That's in Birmingham. As we know, Max, I mean, Alabama has 5 losses at this point. That's been the big discussion. Played a tough schedule. Did not really capitalize on some of those opportunities that were available to them, but they can score with anyone. Defensively, they can give up some points, and they're going to play a Liberty team here that, everyone knows, I've talked about over the years. Huge fan of Richie McKay and just, what he has done with that Liberty program. They have a style. They execute it to perfection, and, it is the Virginia-esque style, right? Like, that's the way they play because he was a former assistant under Tony Bennett. And so pretty good Liberty team here heading to play an Alabama team that, again, can score a lot of points, but don't look past Liberty either. They've been pretty efficient on offense. So Alabama should win the game, Max, but this could be closer than people think.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. In a weekend where we're going to see a lot of double-digit spreads, I think we might get a single-digit one here. Might creep right up to 10, but I'm very excited for this game. Very excited. Liberty is no joke. No joke. I mean, they've got 3 losses, and they're all quality, right? FAU, Grand Canyon, Charleston. 3 quality programs with all good coaches. And they beat Furman, Wichita State, and the king of the American East, Vermont, all by double digits. Smoked them all. So they've got multiple good wins and no bad losses. I cannot wait for the forward matchup between Kyle Rode and Grant Nelson. Rode he was on that 30-4 team a few years ago as a freshman, just the veteran of this team. Liberty doesn't play anybody over 6'7", right? They do not have a ton of height, but they do rebound very well. I think their guard, Van Zant, I'm going to butcher the name, Van Zant, whatever it is, he's one of the best guard rebounders in the nation, 6'3", and averages over 8 rebounds a game. This team's scrappy, right? They're going to fight, and I've talked about the fight in Alabama before, how I like their fight. This can be a scrappy game, man. The thing about Liberty, though, is they've got where their defense matches up against Alabama. It's a little bit interesting. So Liberty gives up the 32nd least amount of points from 3, 40th most from 2, right? So they guard the 3-point line very well. They're all a little bit shorter, under 6'7", can switch defensively, play that pack line, that Virginia. But they do give up some interior scoring with that lack of height. And that's going to be, I'm interested to see how that works with that Alabama offense, as we know how that green light beyond the arc works for Nate Oates and company. So Going to be interested to see how Alabama goes about attacking this Liberty defense, where, they're probably going to have to score inside a little bit. But yeah, just very excited for this game. That matchup at the 4 between Rode and Nelson is really going to be something special. This is going to be a tough one. Do not overlook Richie McKay's squad here.
Yeah, keep in mind these two teams have played a couple times in recent years. Yeah, I know I'm going to miss one, but I'm going back and looking at this. They played in 2018. That one was in Huntsville. Alabama won the game by 9 points. That was the Kyra Lewis, John Petty, Dante Hall, Herbert Jones team. They went up against a Liberty team that year that won 29 games, got to the NCAA tournament, beat Mississippi State. So that was, one of your recent results with these two. And that was a game, and here's my point I'm making on this. That was a game that was played in mid-December. Fast forward to, and Alabama fans know where I'm going with this, fast forward to last season. They play in the second game of the season, and Alabama just completely smokes them, 95-59 in Tuscaloosa. And the only game Liberty had played to that point was, they played Regent in game 1 and won 104-38. Nothing against Regent, but that was just, that was your prep for Alabama. And, you came in and, again, the style didn't equate, right? Like just one of those where Alabama, I think they scored 50-something points in the second half, just kind of went nuts and just shot a lot of free throws in that game too, looking back at it, 31-38 at the free throw line. And so, yeah, Liberty really struggled in that one last season. So we'll see if they can kind of, flip that a little bit and make this more their type of game and maybe have a result a little bit closer to the one they had in 2018 when these two teams played. But again, don't discount Richie McKay's ability to put together a really good game plan here. But as I've said, I'm still higher on Alabama than most people are with 5 losses, and I've kind of explained my reasoning why. And this, I think, would be a good win to have on the resume if they were to be able to pull this one off against Liberty. But should be an interesting game, and we'll see if just Alabama overwhelms them offensively like they can a lot of teams. So, yeah, interesting matchup there in that one. All right. It's the one we've been talking about for weeks now, Max. Multiple weeks we've been talking about this game. Little did we know how interesting this game would be. Of course, because we go all the way back to December 2nd when UNC Wilmington went to Rupp Arena, beat Kentucky 80-73, gave the Cats a stunning loss there. Now they're going to head to Bud Walton Arena and try to do the same thing against a team that is not playing as well as Kentucky. This one, KenPom has as an 8-point game. With, of course, we're talking about heading to play this Arkansas team that is 8-4 on the season. Even in wins, has not, really put it all together just yet, aside from maybe the Duke game. And so what are you seeing with this one, Max? Because, look, we've reached that point now with Arkansas where it is, okay, you've got to start figuring some things out because it does not get any easier from here, literally starting with this game. And remember, they play Auburn next Saturday. That's the SEC opener. So what do we see from Arkansas here? Do we know?
That's a great way to lead into it. Do we know? To answer your question, no, we don't. But we'll do our best here to break it down. If you're looking at the anticipated spread, I would guess anywhere from 6 to 8-ish favorite for Arkansas, somewhere around the 2-3 possession range. And that has a lot to do with this being at Bud Walton. If this was on a neutral floor, I think it would be closer to a 2 or 3 point favorite for Arkansas. One thing I will start with is that everyone keeps talking about the Kentucky UNCW game. Just everyone keeps talking about it, and for good reason, right? Kentucky is that's their lone, blemish on their record. But listen, they didn't have their starting point guard, they didn't have their starting center, and they didn't have a backup 7-footer either. So there was a lot missing there for Kentucky. And also, Arkansas is not taking this team lightly now, right? Whereas Kentucky might have overlooked Wilmington, no overlooking this team anymore. What I will say about Wilmington is the guard play is just phenomenal. They are second nationally in turnover rate, right? They do not turn the ball over. And this year, contrary to most teams of past, this is not an Arkansas team that is going to force a lot of turnovers, or at least they haven't yet, right? they've done a lot of their defensive damage around the rim with that really high block rate you're seeing from Brazil and Chandler Lawson and such. So where I don't think UNCW will cough the ball up, they might have a lot of their shots affected around the rim, which might kind of even that out a little bit. But man, are they balanced? I mean, 4 guys in double digits, it can really hurt you in a lot of different ways. And the main way is with their 6'7" forward, Trezarian White. I mean, he's 27th in the nation in usage. I mean, they just feed this guy all game long, trying to get him touches. And he ranks 8th in the nation in fouls drawn, right? So that's important for the rim protection of Arkansas. Can they get a home Bud Walton whistle and defend without fouling, right? So I'm going to be interested to see that. How does Brazil, Lawson, even Mitchell, right? How do they match up against White, who's a little bit quicker than, say, Mitchell is, a little bit shorter? I'm going to be very interested for that matchup. But also, Arkansas has a bit of a path to victory here with the free throw line as well. Arkansas is 9th in the country in free throw attempts per game, and Wilmington ranks outside the top 200 in defensive free throw rate. So they put teams on the line a lot. I think you can see here the path to victory for Arkansas. If they bottle up the rim protection, right? They don't let Trezarian White just get whatever he wants. And then in turn, they are very aggressive offensively. I think you see a nice path to victory here for Arkansas. But man, you are really going to have to play, a full shot clock of defense against this Wilmington team because they're not turning the ball over. They're just not.
Yeah. If you go back to the Kentucky game, if you didn't watch it, you're trying to figure out, well, how did they pull this off, right? Well, Kentucky didn't shoot the ball well from outside, but they did get the free throw line 25 times, kind of to further your point on, I think there will be I think if I had to do the over-under, right, like I'd bet Arkansas to get over 25 free throws probably. I think that probably happens in this game just based on, I think, their path to winning it would be my guess on that. And, of course, Wilmington hit 11 threes in that game against Kentucky. Again, they shot 50% from 2. They did have 12 turnovers, for a few more than maybe you would expect, but they also out-rebounded Kentucky, which is something that, just should not have happened probably. So, so there were a lot of things that they put together and did well. But again, keep in mind, this is also the same team that, beat Georgia Southern on the road by 5 a couple weeks ago. Georgia Southern is 0-12, so take that for what it is, right? I mean, it was a close game against a team that's 0-12. They beat Marshall 78-69 on the road. Marshall's a team that, as you know, just plays a ridiculous pace type game. Like they are up tempo. They're 5-8. So this is a game that Arkansas should win.
Yes.
I mean, we can talk about everything we want about Wilmington winning, Kentucky and all that, but Arkansas should win this game. But I think the bigger question, as I said, to kind of lead into is, what are you going to get from Arkansas here? Because this is, again, that time. We've already seen, this is usually that moment, I feel like, the past couple of seasons where it's like, Arkansas is still in a slump. They're they're about to hit that slump, where, remember, kind of see how they've started in SEC play the past couple of years. They've already done that this season. Like, we've been there. Like, now it's time to flip it in the other direction if they're going to start to make some strides here. Because, again, the start of their SEC schedule is not the easiest when you really look at it. They're home against Auburn. They go to Georgia. They go to Florida. Those are 2 teams with momentum right now. Georgia and Florida both have momentum. Georgia's a team we'll talk about in a second. Not a lot about their game, but just kind of maybe one of the storylines heading into the weekend. So those are teams that are trending in the right direction. They got A&M at home, South Carolina at home, Ole Miss on the road. All teams trending in the right direction right now, right? Then they got Kentucky. So the first 7 or 8 games there, they're not gimmies in SEC play, even though Arkansas will probably be favored in quite a few of those. I mean, per KenPom right now, they're the favorite. And guess how many of those, Max?
Jeez.
1.
I'd say, oh, man, I was going to say 3.
Listen, they've got, so you remember, KenPom does this by percentages and all that. But as of right now, okay, just based on how we're looking at it, South Carolina at home is the only game in there. So remember, that's including road games at Georgia, road games at Ole Miss, home games against Kentucky, A&M, Auburn, all those teams. So just take that for what it is. I don't think Arkansas is only going to win 1 game in that stretch. But my bigger point is they really need a big sort of confidence booster here. Like, they need to play well and get a good win here against, a Wilmington team that has a lot of upside. So I know Arkansas fans have been frustrated, but yeah, if they were to lose this one, I don't know what to say kind of heading into the start of SEC play. They really need to win this game, and I think they need to play well doing so. It can't just be kind of that, all right, oh, we played ugly again, 1-2. You'll take it, but man, they need a good performance here.
I would really like to see Devo Davis just be a little bit more aggressive offensively. I was looking at his numbers last year compared to this year. So Devo Davis, all of last year, scored under 5 points 7 times the whole season, right? Under 5, 7 times. This year, he has already done that 6 times, right? So, I mean, I know there's much more pieces and it's a completely different team. I know. I'm just saying, hey, that's pretty telling with how this team might be struggling offensively a little bit. I mean, he was shooting 40% from 3 in conference play last year. Right now, just a tad above 20, right? So I would really like to see maybe just a confidence boosting game from Devo here before conference play because they could really use it,
They need more easy offense. They're not
Yeah.
forcing turnovers. Their defense is lackluster. They just need more easy baskets. And remember that, I think, is one of the common themes of the teams of the past several seasons, is that they were able to force a quick turnover, get an easy score. They're just not doing that a lot this season. And so, like you said, they're going to have to do it against a Wilmington team that does a really good job taking care of the ball. So that could be a significant storyline in this one. So, all right, those are kind of the headliners in the SEC. Like we said, I think those are the most interesting games. Of course, if you're a fan of a certain team, you're going to think maybe there's a more compelling storyline with your games. But let's talk about everything else, Max. And we're not going to get to all this. We're going to wrap this up soon here. But other games of interest, perhaps Kentucky's going to host Illinois State on Friday nights. As you said before we started recording, the Antonio Reeves revenge game is officially in store here in Lexington. But in all honesty, I mean, Kentucky should win this game pretty handily, even though Illinois State is 8-4. Cat should be a significant favorite, I think, in this game. That's one of note. Looking at, how about this? I'm just going to read off the schedule, and I'm going to let you take this to kind of the biggest highlights you see. Friday night, LSU is going to host Northwestern State. We go to Saturday, Florida hosts Quinnipiac. South Carolina hosts Florida A&M. We talked about Alabama Liberty. Georgia's going to host Alabama A&M. Missouri hosts Central Arkansas. Vanderbilt hosts Dartmouth. We talked about Arkansas, UNC Wilmington. Texas A&M hosts Prairie View. Auburn hosts Chattanooga. That could be one that's, in terms of the rankings of these games, maybe up a little higher on the list. And then Sunday, Mississippi State hosts Bethune, and Ole Miss hosts Bryant. I know you're going to talk about Ole Miss, Max, but what else kind of stands out in this just huge group of games here?
Well, to start, doing my predictive lines because they're not out yet. I think only one of these games is going to be a single-digit spread. Every single SEC team is going to be a double-digit favorite, except Vandy, who is going to be about a 7-point favorite against Dartmouth. And believe it or not, this might be the last game Vanderbilt is favored in all year. So Dartmouth, bottom 50 team this year. It could be a good spot for Vandy to just get back in the winning column. Almost took it away from Memphis there, almost. But would really like to see Vandy just to get a clean win, just a clean performance. Kentucky, don't think they're going to have any issue. Illinois State ranks bottom 30 in the country in 3-point offense. So, I mean, if Kentucky's making shots, Illinois State's not going to be able to keep up. With LSU, Northwestern, I'm really excited for Jalen Cook. I think that he can really take this LSU team up out of the bottom of our power rankings. In just 2 games, he has 11 assists, only 2 turnovers. That's better than every other player on LSU. So he's going to make a big difference. I really want to see them just blow them out. I don't want to see a 10, 15-point win. Blow them out and show me that you can really win these games. But I mean, other than that, Auburn should be a 20-point favorite. Texas A&M should be over 20-point favorite. Same with Georgia, South Carolina, and Florida. So I think all those games are going to be 20-point favorites. Should take care of business, right? I don't want to see any close games there. But you know what we're going to do? We're going to see a close game in one of those.
Yeah, somebody's going to lose. I'm just telling you right now, I've seen this happen before. It's the holiday lull. Someone is going to lose a game that they shouldn't. I hope I'm wrong, but this always happens in the SEC right before SEC play. Someone just picks up an absurd loss. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But
Yeah, I can see it because the stars are aligning for a letdown here when we're saying that everyone should take care of business. As for the Sunday slate, I honestly I don't have much for Ole Miss Bryant. It's an intriguing game because Bryant beat FAU, but I think that was FAU's like worst shooting night in history, right? So, um, Ole Miss should take care of business. They're getting the ball rolling. Believe it or not, I mean, I was talking to Blake about this yesterday. I had no clue Ole Miss was eighth in the country in 3-point shooting. I mean, if you were paying attention to us in the summer, we were like, "Oh, Ole Miss is going to win games 55-50. It'll just be gross, grindy games." They're shooting the ball a lot better than I thought they would, I will say. But I mean, it's Bryant. You got to win that game. So yeah, not too much other than those marquee 2 games. But I bet we get a close one out of them.
listen, the only other storylines maybe I would add is Georgia's got the 9th longest active win streak in the country right now with 7 wins in a row. And we haven't talked a lot about them based on maybe the schedule, but they should pick up another win against Alabama A&M. He only has 1 win on the season to this point. And then again, they start SEC play at Missouri, which is a winnable game right now, I think, for Georgia. So yeah, I'm curious just to see, with Georgia continuing to build momentum here heading into the start of league play. They're another one that does not have an easy start. They go to Missouri, home against Arkansas, home against Tennessee, at South Carolina, at Kentucky is their first 5 games. So again, not that this win over Alabama A&M would all of a sudden, save them in terms of if they were to lose some games in there, but it's just building momentum. Like they've done that to this point, and I think they should get another win here over, again, I think a team that they should beat. And then I think the other storyline really is just kind of seeing how some of these other teams continue to build the momentum, right? Like Florida's a team that is finally headed in the right direction. Should get a double-digit win over Quinnipiac here, and then of course they have the big win against Kentucky to start SEC play in Gainesville. So I think it's seeing how teams like that, knowing that there's been a little bit of a gap here with teams not playing over the past whatever, some teams haven't played in a while, and so just kind of getting that game, getting back into the rhythm a little bit, and then knowing that a week from now you're playing, you're playing SEC games a week from now. Like I say, you're playing for real. You're already playing for real, but you know what I mean. Like
They matter a bit more.
Yeah, this is when you really start to build your NCAA tournament resume starting next week. And so, I think it's just seeing how teams like that, Florida, Georgia, we've said everything we need to say about Ole Miss and South Carolina and how they've been the surprise teams. And like I mentioned, just don't let one of those games pop in here, especially. And I think that's important for teams like South Carolina and Ole Miss specifically. You don't have the resume right now that's going to compare to other teams. Your record looks good, but you don't have the resume, so you can't afford to lose these kind of games. And I don't think they will, but like we said, this is just kind of one of those things that you certainly have to look for as you get ready to start SEC play. So everything else, Max, like we mentioned, it's just kind of a slate where you should see a lot of SEC wins. I would be surprised if you don't. And the only other one, like I talked about, was Auburn, Chattanooga. I think there's some interest in that one. Chattanooga is a team that's 8-4. Dan Earl's their head coach now. But I don't what their best win on the season is probably against Louisville. And that probably tells you all you need to know to this point. And so, again, I'm not knocking Chattanooga. It's just we don't have the sample size to properly say, all right, they're going to go in and beat Auburn, right? Auburn should be a heavy favorite in this game. So Auburn, another team too. We talk about momentum. They've really built that after that Appalachian State loss in early December. So, and they're another one. Actually, I want to say, is Auburn the only team, unless I'm just forgetting a game? Auburn still has 2 games to go before they start SEC play. They're going to play Penn next Tuesday. But there may be somebody else that I'm forgetting that has a game. Then Tennessee, I think, plays next Tuesday too. I think they play Norfolk State. So yeah, this is pretty much it for SEC teams, minus those 2 heading into to start a league play. So should be fun, Max. We're almost there.
I can't believe it. Remember back in June when we're doing like top 5 point guard rankings? Conference play now is right here. I can't wait. And folks, the games might not be that intriguing. It's not top 25 versus top 25, but these are big games, right? You
Yeah.
need to look good going into conference play. You need to start on the right foot. So I'm really excited for these games. Like I'm going to be watching all of them. Florida Quinnipiac, if it's a 20-point spread, I don't care. I'm watching it. I want to know how these guys look right now. So I'm excited.
Some people watch bowl games. Some people watch Florida Quinnipiac basketball. That's what we do here at Southeastern 14. We watch it all. So you can check out all of our bowl previews, of course. And of course, Florida fans, apologies. I know you don't have a bowl game to watch, so you will be watching Florida Quinnipiac.
Join me.
Since your team is not in a bowl, but hopefully that changes for you guys soon enough. But yeah, check out all of our bowl previews. They're all there here on the channel. And yeah, we preview every game. So all the bowl games are there. And like I mentioned, we will, once we get into actual conference play in SEC basketball, we do kind of just a grab bag of games here. We talk about some more than others. Like once we get into league play, we will be doing predictions and previews for every single conference game in SEC basketball. So you guys will have everything you need on that. So yeah, we go full strength, like full speed ahead here as we get into conference play. So be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button as well. We appreciate you guys watching and or listening as always. And again, be sure to hit that subscribe button because you want to keep up with everything we're doing here leading into start of conference play in SEC basketball. So thanks as always for watching, and we'll talk to you again here soon at Southeastern 14 presented by Bet Online.